Hello, my lovely rose garden. This is Avalon.
And Ray.
And we're back with chapter 17 of Throne of Glass. I wonder what horrors await us today.
Oh boy.
And it is a little bit of a longer chapter, at least compared to last time, so I am just going to get right into it. With heavy eyelids, Dorian Haviljard tried not to slouch as he sat upon his throne. Music and chatter flitted through the air, wooing him to sleep. Why must his mother insist on his attending court? Even the weekly afternoon visit was too much. But it was better than studying the corpse of the Eye-Eater, which Cole had spent the past few days investigating. He'd worry about that later, if it became an issue. Which it wouldn't, if Cole was looking into it. It had probably just been a drunken brawl. Okay, not to sound like a woman hater,
No.
but I am immediately invested. How is it that just one paragraph from Dorian's perspective, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm ready. We have, he is bored at the court, like, okay, fine, prince shit, serving Cinderella prince.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately he's like, oh yeah, like, well, I guess I would rather be doing this than studying a corpse. And immediately I'm like, hello? And he's like, oh, well, Cole's looking into it, and Cole's very reliable. And I'm like, I ship them.
Yeah.
So you've already given me 3 things. You've given me something about Dorian's personality and what he likes and dislikes. You've given me plot things with the Eye-Eater guy, corpse dude.
Yeah. He's not a guy anymore. He's just a
He's
lump of
ex,
meat.
He's an ex-guy.
This is an ex-murderer.
And you've given me ship fuel with Dorian and Cole. So I'm hype.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 17 might be good.
My lucky number coming through. Watch as I eat those words immediately.
Imagine if this was just the opening paragraph to the whole book. And you would immediately be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Eye-Eater, hello?
Hello? And then there was the champion who'd tried to escape this afternoon. Dorian shuddered at the thought of what it must have been like to witness it, and at the mess Cole had to deal with, from the injured soldier to the sponsor who'd lost his champion, to the dead man himself. What had his father been thinking when he decided to host this contest? Okay, Dorian. Cole is still the best one here. Dorian is easily earning second place.
Yeah.
And we'll see about Nehemia, but Nehemia is probably going to be like second or third by the end of the book.
Yeah.
And Alyssa is dead last.
Fuck you, Alyssa.
Dorian glanced at his mother, seated on a throne beside his own. She certainly didn't know anything about it, and probably would have been horrified if she knew what kind of criminals were living under her roof.
Wait, so the queen doesn't even know that, like...
How does the queen...
This is going on? What the fuck, bitch? Did you...
Now SJM is being the woman hater, because wow, how about a woman having agency? How about the fucking queen knowing what's going on in the castle? Because you've got all these sponsors hanging around, which means there's just all these lords and nobles.
I mean, like...
Why are they there then?
If anything, it was important for queens to know about what's going on within the homeland, because...
That was kind of their shit.
Yeah, that was kind of their thing, is that... You know, even back in ye olden days where, you know, women took care of hearth and home, being the queen means that the entire country is hearth and home. So you need to know what the fuck was going on, like, at the very least, inside the castle at all times.
Like, literally, that is the queen mother. Okay, she is mother.
She is mother. She is serving.
and she doesn't even know what's going on in her own fucking castle. Like, even in the United States, the first lady is in charge of a lot of things that go on within the White House, which I know because Trump's wife fucking hated it. And complained about it all the time. But it's like, yeah, the first lady has responsibilities dealing with, you know, the hearth and home kind of thing with the White House. I can only imagine that this would be the same in a ruling monarchy where the queen would be the one kind of handling all these delegates. And
well, yeah, because kings were expected to, go out to war and conquer things and be, like, leading their armies and whatnot. So, yeah, a lot of stuff that happened within the nation usually fell to the queen and advisors.
Like domestic affairs.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's called that.
Yeah.
So, wow, SJM just finding another way to be shitty to women. Great. His mother was still beautiful, though her face was a bit wrinkled and cracked with powder, and her auburn hair had a few silver streaks. Shut the fuck up. That is your mother. She is your mother. She gave birth to you.
Yeah, I'm all like, this is supposed to be his point of view, and it's all like, if you say anything but my mommy is perfect and I love her, shut. Do not speak. Unless she's like, an abusive mother, but I'm not getting that vibe.
I'm not getting that vibe. I'm getting she's an airheaded bimbo who Alyssa Cleese would hate kind of vibe, because of course
she wears
because
makeup.
She's a woman.
She wears makeup.
Today she was swathed in yards of forest green velvet and floating scarves and shawls of gold, and her crown upheld a sparkling veil that gave Dorian the distinct impression she was wearing a tent upon her head.
Girl, no, she's serving. Shut the hell up.
Shut the hell your mouth.
Green and gold?
Hell yeah.
Classic combo?
A veil? Like,
hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I am always down for a good crown and veil combo.
Before them, the nobility strutted across the floor of the court, gossiping, scheming, seducing. An orchestra played minuets in a corner, and servants slipped through the gathered nobles in a dance of their own as they refilled and cleared plates and cups and silverware. Dorian felt like an ornament. Of course, he was wearing an outfit of his mother's choosing, sent to him this morning, a vest of dark bluish-green velvet, with almost ridiculously billowy white sleeves bursting from the blue and white striped shoulders. The pants mercifully were light gray, though his chestnut suede boots looked too new for masculine pride. Shut
up. I would kill to wear this outfit.
I'm surprised that he's not matching her, though. Like,
yeah,
get him in forest green and gold, too.
Why isn't he in green? But I don't know, whatever.
Dorian, my dear, you're sulking. He gave Queen Georgina an apologetic grin. I received a letter from Holland. He sends his love. Did he say anything of interest? Only that he loathes school and wishes to come home. He says that every letter. The Queen of Aderlin sighed. If your father didn't prevent me, I'd have him home. He's better off at school. When it came to Holland, the farther away he was, the better. I have completely forgotten who Holland is. I'm just going to assume he's another prince.
Yeah, that's the younger brother.
Younger brother? Okay.
I think.
Georgina surveyed her son. You were better behaved. You never disobeyed your tutors. Oh, my poor Holland. When I am dead, you'll care for him, won't you? Dead? Mother, you're only... I know how old I am. She waved a ring-encrusted hand. Which is why you must marry, and soon. Marry? Dorian ground his teeth. Marry whom? Dorian, you are the crown prince, and already 19 at that. Do you wish to become king and die without an heir so Holland can take the throne? Shading Holland over here.
She's all like, I already know he's a mess.
Like, but, she loves him, but
he's a mess.
He's a mess.
But I'm just over here like, Dorian, why are you surprised? You're the crown prince. And you're an adult now. Of course they would be talking about you getting married. Are you unaware of how the monarchy works?
Is this your first day of being a prince or what?
Were you born yesterday, buddy?
He didn't answer. I thought so. After a moment, she said, There are plenty of young women who might make a good wife, though a princess would be preferred. There are no princesses left, he said a bit sharply. Except for Princess Nehemia. She laughed and put a hand on his. Oh, don't worry. I wouldn't force you to marry her. I'm surprised your father allows for her to still bear the title. The impetuous, haughty girl. Do you know she refused to wear the dress I sent her? I'm sure the princess has her reasons, Dorian said warily, disgusted by his mother's unspoken prejudice. No, I think she spoke it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the italices on her pretty much said everything I needed to know.
Yeah.
Also, she's the queen of a conquering empire that has been, like, taking over the continent. Not surprised that she's prejudiced. Surprised that you aren't. Because I'm assuming that you can't have flaws.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's my only guess. I'm all like, no, like, this is realistic.
It sucks.
It sucks, but it's realistic.
That's kind of how things happen, though.
You don't think that, Queen Elizabeth II wasn't hella racist against, Indians?
And honestly, anyone else who wasn't English?
Yeah.
Conquering empire is not exactly known for being paragons of inclusion and equity.
That's why they're conquering empires. They're kind of... They kind of do the whole thing where they come in and take over and kill traditions and...
subjugate the people.
Yeah.
And...
It's like, this is just kind of what happens.
Is this your first day?
Whoo, we are getting political.
If the audience doesn't know that we're anti-colonizer by now...
I mean, yeah, but still, just like, dang. We're just over here like... Man, fuck the monarchy.
Fuck the monarchy. I've only spoken to her once, but she seemed lively. Then perhaps you shall marry her. His mother laughed again before he could respond. Dorian smiled weakly. You know what? I'm here for it. Dorian ex Nehemia, Elisicles ex Cole. She doesn't deserve him, but
Cole deserves better.
It's gonna happen. She's gonna end up with one of them. At least in this book, because as we all know, SJM likes to pull some bait and switch love interests.
Yeah.
And this is like an 8 or whatever book long series, so I highly doubt that she's going to end up with anyone introduced in the first book, just given SJM's track record. But yeah, if I had to choose endgame ships at this point, and of course Dorian x Cole will not be on offer.
Don't we wish though?
Even though Dorian x Cole and Elisicles x Nehemia would be my preference, but there's not going to be gays.
Nehemia could fix Elisicles, if anyone.
She could fix her.
She could fix her.
Dorian smiled weakly. He still couldn't figure out why his father had granted the King of Elway's request that his daughter visit their court to become better acquainted with the ways of Aderlin. As far as first day? As far as ambassadors went, Nehemia wasn't exactly the best choice. Not when he'd heard rumors of her support of the Elway rebels and her efforts to shut down the labor camps at Calicola. Dorian couldn't blame her for that, though, not after he'd seen the horror that was in Dovier and the destruction it had wrought upon Elisicles' body. But his father never did anything without a reason, and from the few words he'd exchanged with Nehemia, he couldn't help but wonder if she had her own motivations in coming here, too. You think?
Why else would she be here if she didn't have her own motivations?
Like, I know everyone in this book is stupid,
Duh.
and Dorian is at least a slightly more tolerable level of stupid, because he's not walking around going, I'm better than everyone here. But, God, you're stupid.
It's like, yeah, no shit, buddy.
Damn, really? The princess has ulterior motivations to visit the palace of the king who conquered her lands, and you know that she supports the rebels, and there's a shitload of assassins here right now. Like, I wonder if 2 + 2 = 4.
It's a mystery we'll solve later.
It's a pity that Lady Catherine has an agreement with Duke Parrington, his mother went on. She's such a beautiful girl, and so polite. Perhaps she has a sister. Dorian crossed his arms, swallowing his repulsion. Catherine stood at the far end of the court, and he was all too aware...
Did they say repulsion?
Yeah.
Revulsion. Revulsion is the word you're looking for. I don't...
It's crazy how many, like, editors she thanks, because I'm like, this was not edited. These editors were commenters on Fiction Press. Please, I hope.
Repulsion, I think, is technically a word, but it's fallen out of use because revulsion exists.
Well, yeah, it would be revulsion is the noun of revolting.
Yeah.
Repulsion sounds like propulsion.
Yeah.
It's a movement.
Yeah. So it doesn't quite... It's revulsion. The word you're looking for is revulsion.
And he was all too aware of her eyes creeping over every inch of him. Damn, every inch? He shifted in his seat, his tailbone aching from sitting for so long. What, your throne isn't comfortable? Bitch.
Well, I hear it's made of glass.
True. True.
And
we're done. That's the book.
That's the book. Roll credits.
What about Elise? The queen said, indicating a blonde young woman clad in lavender. She's very beautiful and can be quite playful. As I've already learned. Elise bores me, he said. Oh, Dorian.
Wait, Elise? Who's Elise?
Oh.
As we've already learned, I think this is the first time this bitch has ever been mentioned. Also, lavender, she's got taste.
Blonde with lavender? Good. Good pairing.
Good.
She put a hand over her heart. You're not about to inform me that you wish to marry for love, are you? Love does not guarantee a successful marriage. He was bored. Bored of these women, bored of these cavaliers who masqueraded as companions, bored of everything. He'd hoped his journey to Endovier would quell that boredom, and that he'd be glad to return home. But he found home to be the same. The same ladies still looked at him with pleading eyes, the same serving girls still winked at him, the same councilmen still slipped pieces of potential legislation under his door with helpful notes, and his father would always be preoccupied with conquest, and wouldn't stop until every continent bore Aderlin's flag.
Yeah, like, he's doing the conquesting thing, so why isn't the queen more aware of what's going on?
Because women be stupid in SJM's world. Even gambling over the so-called champions had become achingly dull. Me too. I'm also bored of that.
I am also bored of everything going on here. I'm bored of this book.
Like the absolute power move of SJM having the prince just turn to the camera like he's on The Office and go, I'm bored, this is boring.
Oh, well.
It was clear Cain and Elisicles would ultimately face each other. Okay. Thanks for just spelling that out for the reader. I'm sure we couldn't have guessed, but thanks for just confirming it. And
I still want Fluttershy to win.
And until
I don't remember
then,
his name anymore. It's
Pelor,
just just Fluttershy.
Yeah, the next time I see him, I'm just gonna say Fluttershy. Until then, well, the other champions weren't worth his time. So again, like, just killing any tension, any momentum.
We're just pointing out what's going to happen in the end.
We're only 130-ish pages into this over 400-page book, and we just got the prince being like, so anyway, this is obviously what's going to happen. I'm so bored. And it's like, great, thanks. I, the reader, definitely appreciate you telling me how boring this book I'm investing my time in is. You're sulking again. Are you upset over something, my pet? Have you heard from Rosamund? My poor child, how she broke your heart. The queen shook her head, though it was over a year ago. He didn't reply. He didn't want to think about Rosamund or about the boorish husband she'd left him for. Some nobles started dancing. L move for Rosamund, honestly. Like, damn, you had the prince? Stupid.
What happened?
Stupid move.
What did you do to her?
Some nobles started dancing, weaving in and out among each other. Many were his age, but he somehow felt as if there existed a vast difference between them. He didn't feel older, nor did he feel any wiser, but rather he felt as if there were something inside him that didn't fit in with their merriment, with their willing ignorance of the world outside the castle. It went beyond his title. He had enjoyed their company early in his adolescence, but it had become apparent that he'd always be a step away. The worst of it was that they didn't seem to notice he was different, or that he felt different. Were it not for Cole, he would have felt immensely lonely.
You know, you can probably talk to people. I get the feeling that talking to people would really help. Like
He's the most specialist boy because he's able to think outside the box.
And I'm just like, you know, this is what we in the biz, not the biz, call main character syndrome, where it's all like, oh, no one else has their own internal world. I am the most complex person, and like I'm just, sir.
Like, and it would make somewhat sense for him to feel like this because
he's the prince.
He's the prince. He is isolated. He is.
But also, it's all like you kind of have to work to build those connections. Like, yeah, people that are not to your status are going to have less opportunities to know what all is going on in the world because assumedly, a lot of people, like, don't leave the capital city because
it's the fucking capital.
Yeah, it's the capital, and also, you know, back in ye olden times, sort of nebulous ye olden times, people didn't travel as much. Unless, you know, they were merchants or something.
It was pretty typical for most people to spend their entire lives within a few miles of their birthplace.
Yeah, because, you know, we didn't have cars then.
And traveling was dangerous.
Traveling for a long time was uncomfortable. Have you ever ridden in a horse-drawn carriage? Your ass falls off.
Plus, you also had to plan, like, you know, provisions, places to stop and rest.
So it's all like, you know, this could be helped by talking to people and discussing what's going on outside so that they can learn about things.
And you know what? I bet these people know a lot more than you would give them credit for. Once again, playing Fire Emblem and reading some better researched webcomics that take place in medieval times have given me a much broader perspective on things where, like, all these people, like, you know, these lords and nobles and shit, they have regions that they're responsible for. The reason why they are here is to give you information about these regions.
Yeah. And I'm sure their kids know about those regions. Yeah, they might not travel as much as, like, their parents did or whatever, but they still know some things. They know things that the prince doesn't. You can exchange information. You can make actual lasting friendships with people.
Well, and yeah, he's complaining about these, you know, councilmen slipping pieces of legislation under his door. Like,
it's like,
are you reading what they're sending you?
It's all like, dude, you're the prince. They want you to look at what's going on in other counties and whatnot. Like,
you need to be aware of... How aware are you of what's going on outside the castle before you start throwing stones in your glass castle? Mayhaps you should think about how informed you are. And I feel like a lot of this chapter and having his perspective is to set up some kind of contrast between him and Selena, because Selena is supposed to be kind of more rough and rugged and of the people, but her perspectives have not been written that way. He just seems kind of like he has some of the same character flaws that she has of being very self-centered and main character syndrome.
Yeah.
But his are much more subdued because he also has kind of that responsibility and that weight and that his life has essentially been planned for him kind of feeling. So where these flaws are coming across as a little bit more interesting with him. Like, yeah, it's still stupid. It's not... He's certainly not in the top 20 characters of all time.
Well, that's because, I guess it makes more sense for him to have this kind of I'm above everybody vibe. Because he's the crown prince, as opposed to Alyssa Cleese, who just thinks she's above everybody because.
I mean, we all know that there's going to be a reveal that she's a princess, I'm sure, but
yeah, but
that's not that hard to guess. But if you wanted to write this pairing, this duo of characters, then she should be the one who's opening his eyes to how things are outside the castle.
Yeah.
And he should be like, wow, like, with what I've learned from her, I
Wow.
wonder what else is going on that these people might not be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just this automatic assumption and this looking down on others that, again, is a flaw that they share, but will probably never be addressed as a flaw. And that's the writing rant for today.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see where this chapter takes us.
Well, his mother said, snapping her ivory fingers at one of her ladies-in-waiting, I'm sure your father has you busy, but when you find a moment to bother thinking of me and the fate of your kingdom, look through this. His mother's lady curtsied as she extended to him a folded piece of paper stamped with his mother's blood-red seal. Dorian ripped it open, and his stomach twisted at the long line of names, all ladies of noble blood, all of marriageable age. What is this? He demanded, fighting the urge to rip up the paper. It seems like you already know what it is. She gave him a winning smile. A list of potential brides. Any one of them would be suitable to take the crown, and all, I've been told, are quite capable of producing heirs. What the fuck did you think it was?
Yeah.
Here's the kill list. Dorian stuffed the list of names into the pocket of his vest. The restlessness within him would not cease. I'll think about it, he said. And before she could reply, he stepped from the awning-covered podium. Immediately, 5 young women flocked to him and began asking him to dance, how he fared, if he would attend the... Oh, no.
Mm.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, bitch. Motherfucking cunt ass whore bitch. So what we just... SAMHUINN. I am assuming that's meant to be Samhain. For those of you listening who don't know this, we're pagans. We celebrate Samhain. How fucking dare you?
The name was so beautiful before the accident. Well, no, I can't even lie to myself and say that the actual spelling of Samhain is.
It makes sense if you're Celtic.
Yeah, I know, but even then, like the Celtic language was never meant to be written down, and you can tell. So it's like. Listen,
it was a power move.
Listen,
and we own that.
We get it, but also they somehow managed to mangle it even more with the 2 N's too. I'm all like, are we just throwing some Germanic spelling in there just for funsies?
Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, how would you even pronounce that in Gaelic? Because you have a broad and a slender vowel next to each other.
Kill yourself.
I'm so mad. And once again, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to throw it out there. Hibernophobia. Like,
Boom.
I wouldn't jump to this if not for the amount of hibernophobia that's in Court of Thorns and Roses, which is extreme amounts of it.
And for those not in the know, hibernophobia is specifically the racism against Celtic, specifically Irish, I believe.
Gaelic, more specifically Ireland, because hibern is like the old name of Ireland.
Yeah.
And I am mad. Oh, I'm mad. Oh, you make me mad.
You make me mad.
All right, I'll try to stop being pissed off about this and move on.
Good luck with that.
Around and around their words circled, and Dorian stared at them blankly. What were their names? Just please. Dorian is such a himbo. He's doing his best.
He's trying so hard, but...
Like, they're trying to come up to him and ask him about important shit, and he's just like, where are we?
Where are we?
He peered over their jewel-encrusted heads to find the path to the door. He'd suffocate if he remained here for too long. With only polite goodbyes, the Crown Prince strode from the jangle and jingle of the court, the list of would-be brides burning a hole through his clothes and straight into his skin. Dorian put his hands in his pockets as he strode down the halls of the castle. Bitch has pockets.
Once again, we're gonna
ignore that.
We're gonna ignore the whole pockets thing. We already had a rant about the pockets thing.
The kennels were empty. The dogs were at the track. He'd wished to inspect one of the pregnant hounds, though he knew it was impossible to predict the outcome of the litter until she gave birth. He hoped the pups would be pure, but their mother had a tendency to escape from her pen. She was his fastest, but he'd never been able to quell the wildness within her.
I mean, hey, even if they are mixed, if they have a mother who's particularly fast, it wouldn't really matter. Unless she, like, you know, got up with some, you know, dachshund or something.
I'm not going to comment on this plot point until it comes back later.
Oh, it's going to come back later?
It's going to come back later.
Oh, well...
I wouldn't call it a plot point, but...
Just a little tidbit?
Yeah, this will come back later. It's gonna make you angry.
Oh, no.
You might have a new least favorite chapter.
Well, I mean...
Because I didn't really bring this up the first time we were talking about it.
So far, like, they all are kind of my least favorite chapters. Except for that one that was, like, surprisingly good, and then...
Yeah, like chapter 5 or something actually had some decent world building.
And then we all just kind of toppled down into, oh no, it's another chapter.
I had high hopes at the beginning of this chapter, and those have just been crushed with every paragraph. Anyway, he didn't really know where he was going now. He just needed to walk, anywhere. Dorian loosened the top button of his vest. The clash of swords echoed from an open doorway, and he paused. He faced the champion's training room, and even though training was supposed to be over now, there she was. Her... oh, shit.
Don't
you just love when the main character appears and your first reaction is, shit? Damn it.
And see, my brain immediately went to there she is. Not because of this book, but because my brain is desperately trying to escape into something better.
Her golden hair shone as she wove in and out of a knot of 3 guards, her sword little more than a steel extension of her hand.
Maybe this is a nitpick, but does she have golden hair or is she a pale blonde? Very different types of blonde.
She's whatever this chapter needs her to be.
Because golden is sort of like a medium darkness of blonde. Whereas pale blonde is kind of what she's like shown on the cover.
Yeah, like, well, even on the cover you'd call that probably platinum, but...
Yeah, but, you know, platinum is
closer.
Platinum is a pale blonde. So...
the original Becky cover is definitely golden, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like a medium saturation.
But they've always said that she's a pale blonde, and now she's a golden blonde. That's an entirely different shade of blonde. It's almost as striking as, you know, a character who's like been described as having like light brown hair throughout the whole book, and now has chestnut hair.
Or auburn.
And it's just like, that's an entirely different color.
It's a horse of a different color.
And I probably wouldn't be this nitpicky if I wasn't an artist.
And bored.
But specifically as an artist, you know, and I illustrate books. I'm just over here like...
And if you want to get your hands on those books...
Don't interrupt me.
It's okay, God.
If I didn't illustrate books, then I probably wouldn't be as thick. But as a illustrator, I would just be like, what the fuck is her hair color? But yeah, and if you want...
Now it's your turn to do the plug.
And if you want to look at those books that I illustrate... You should join our Patreon.
Or just buy the books.
Or just buy the books. But, you know, you should still join our Patreon. Because then you'll have access to all the... My brain just turned to jello.
I'll take it from here. There's a lot of cool rewards on our Patreon, such as access to patron-exclusive channels in our Discord server, and being able to have your name in the acknowledgement section of our books, which are published. We also have 4 books published right now, and if you join at the $10 Rose Blossom tier, you will get e-book versions of all of them, and that will only increase in value with time as more and more books are published, and you get all of them for that same $10. So, not bad. If you just want to buy the ebooks and soon the paperbacks, I don't have the paperbacks on Ko-fi yet, but I do have the ebooks on there with the starting price being $1, literally one singular dollar, and it is a pay what you want feature, so if you want to go more than that to give us a little extra support, that's great. If you just want them for the $1, it's just $1. So please do check that out to support us, because we don't make a lot of money. We don't make any money on YouTube, and if you want us to keep making content, we're going to do that anyway, but it sure would be nice to have a little support. We also have freebies for followers on our Patreon, so even if you can't donate, you could still follow us on Patreon and have access to a couple of things there, such as some preview art I've posted.
You can also join our Discord.
And you get the Discord. Not the patron-exclusive channels, but
you get the Discord.
You get the pictures of Winnie, and isn't that what we all want?
That's what we all want.
So check that out today. Back to this bullshit.
Yes.
She didn't balk at the guards as she dodged and twirled around them. I would hope the fuck not. Someone began clapping to the left, and the 4 dueling figures stopped, panting. Dorian watched a grin spread across the assassin's face as she beheld the source. The sheen of sweat illuminated her high cheekbones, and her blue eyes sparkled. Yes, she was truly lovely. But Princess Nehemia approached, clapping. Hell yeah! Finally! She's back! She was clad not in her usual white gown, but in a rather dark tunic and loose trousers, and she clutched an ornately carved wooden staff in one hand. The princess clasped the assassin on the shoulder and said something to the girl that made her laugh. Dorian looked around. Where was Cal or Brulo? Cole. Also, where were Cole or Brulo? Not where was.
Editing.
Or if you wanted to say that, you would put a comma after Cole. Where was Cole, comma, or Brulo? Like Brulo's the afterthought. God. Why was Adderlin's assassin here with the Princess of Elway, and with a sword? This could not go on, especially after that champion's attempted escape the other day. Solid points.
Yep.
He's correct.
He is correct.
Dorian approached and smiled at the princess as he bowed. Nehemia only deigned to give him a terse nod. Not surprising. Dorian took Alysicles' hand. It smelled of metal and sweat, but he kissed it anyway, raising his eyes to her face as he did so. Lady Lillian, he muttered onto her skin. Your Highness, she said, trying to pull her hand from his, but Dorian held fast to her calloused palm. Might I have a word, he said, leading her away before she could agree. When they were out of hearing distance, he demanded, Where's Cole? She crossed her arms. Is this any way to speak to your beloved champion?
Yes.
He frowned. Where is he?
He owns you right now. He can speak however he wants to you.
Tell him where his boyfriend is. I don't know. If I were to bet, though, I'd wager that he's inspecting the Eye-Eater's mangled corpse, or disposing of Sven's body. Besides, Brulo said I could stay here as long as I liked after we were done. I do have another test tomorrow, you know. Of course he knew. Why is Princess Nehemia here? She called on me, and when Philippa told her I was here, she insisted on joining. Apparently a woman can only go so long without a sword between her hands. She bit her lip. I don't recall you being so talkative. Well, perhaps if you'd taken the time to speak with me, you'd have found me to be so.
He's doing that right now.
He snorted, but took the bait, gods damn him. And when would I have spoken to you?
You do recall the little fact that we traveled together from Indovia, don't you? And that I've been here for weeks now.
I sent you those books, he offered.
And did you ever ask me if I had read them?
Had she forgotten to whom she was speaking? I've spoken to you once since we've been here. I don't know if that's supposed to be like I did speak to you once, or if it's I have only had time to talk to you. Like, I don't know what the tone that I'm supposed to go for is with that line. So I'm just putting in my personal feelings of he is the crown prince, he is fucking busy.
Yeah.
Why are you expecting that he would have time to speak to you?
Yeah.
She shrugged and made to turn away. Irritated but slightly curious, he grabbed her arm. Her turquoise eyes glittered as she stared at his hand. Blue and turquoise are not necessarily synonyms. And his heart quickened when her gaze rose to his face. Yes, sweaty as she was beautiful.
Aren't you afraid of me? She glanced at his sword belt. Or are you as deft at handling your sword as Captain Westfall?
He stepped closer, tightening his grip. Better, he whispered in her ear. There, she was blushing and blinking. This is the worst flirting I've ever fucking seen.
Well, she began, but the timing was off. He'd won. She crossed her arms. Very amusing, Your Highness.
He bowed dramatically. I do what I can, but you can't have Princess Nehemia here with you.
And why is that? Do you believe I'm going to kill her? Why would I kill the one person in this castle who isn't a babbling idiot?
She gave him a look that suggested he was part of the majority. He is.
Not to mention, her guards would kill me before I even lifted a hand.
It simply can't happen. She's here to learn our customs, not to spar.
She's a princess. She can do what she likes.
No.
No.
In fact, no.
As a matter of fact, most royals can't do what they like.
Especially not one that is a glorified political prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose you're going to teach her about weaponry? She cocked her head.
Perhaps you're just a little bit afraid of me.
I'll escort her back to her chambers. She gestured widely for him to pass.
Word help you.
He ran a hand through his black hair and approached the princess, who waited for them with a hand on her hip. Your Highness, Dorian said, motioning to her personal guard to join them, I'm afraid we must return to your chambers. The princess looked behind his shoulder with a raised eyebrow. To his dismay, Alysicles began speaking in Elway to the princess, who stomped her staff. She hissed something at him. Dorian's skill with the Elway language was spotty at best, and the princess spoke too fast for him to understand. Thankfully, the assassin translated.
She says you can return to your cushions and dancing and leave us be,
Alysicles said. He tried his best to look serious. Tell her it's unacceptable for her to spar. Alysicles said something, to which the princess only waved a hand and strode past them onto the sparring floor. What did you say? Dorian said.
I said you volunteered to be her first partner, she said. Well, you don't want to upset the princess.
I will not spar with the princess.
Would you rather spar with me?
Perhaps if we had a private lesson in your chambers, he said smoothly.
You could throw her in jail right now. You could just immediately throw her in the dungeon.
What a fucking bitch. God. It's not cute or funny. It's just a really bitchy move. Perhaps if we had a private lesson in your chambers, he said smoothly, tonight.
I'll be waiting.
She curled her hair around a finger. The princess twirled her staff with strength and precision that made him gulp. Deciding that he didn't feel like having the daylights walloped out of him, he walked to the rack of weapons and selected 2 wooden swords. How about some basic swordplay instead? He asked Nehemia. To his relief, the princess nodded and handed her staff to one of her guards, then took the practice sword Dorian extended to her. Alysicles would not make a fool out of him. You stand like this, he said to the princess, taking a defensive stance. So you are going to spar with her and just give Alysicles what she wants.
Should have just had the guards, throw Alysicles in the dungeon.
Yeah,
I feel like you could just easily...
like, maybe your knowledge of Elway is not the best, but I feel like one of the first things you'd learn to say is, no, stop, please go. My lord, okay. Well, that's it for this episode. I'm fucking exhausted from this bitch. I had hopes. I had hopes for one moment.
Good luck with that. Good luck having hopes and dreams. I can't. Not with this book.
Oh, there's 7 books in this series, plus the novella. Okay, so like 8 books. Yeah. I'm looking at the back cover and counting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, please help us out. Read my books. They're very cheap and very accessible, and hell, if you just want a copy and you don't have any money at all somehow, email me and I'll give you a copy free to review, as long as you just post your review on Amazon or whatever. An honest review. Do not just give me 5 stars automatically. Please tell me what you really think. Yeah, you can read my books are very accessible. I am more than happy to work with you to get my books out there. So there's that. Hope you're having a better day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons. If you'd like to see your name here or in the description below, please consider joining my Patreon. Your support means so much to me and allows me to continue making content. If you want to support my content in different ways, consider buying my books, donating on Ko-fi, subscribing to the channel, or even just giving this video a like and comment. Any and everything is appreciated so much. Keep growing till next time, Rose Garden!